Hi, welcome to the first episode of my podcast, the Yarnniffler. I'm Sam. I'm a university student from Belgium. At this moment, I'm in Kortrijk, the city where I study. I love to knit and crochet when I'm not busy with schoolwork or even when I'm watching some lectures or doing some reading. I would love to talk to you about my knitting and crochet plans, things I have made, and all of that. So, first off, what I'm wearing, this is my rainbow dress. Let me stand up so you can see. So it comes to like about over the knee. Um, this is the Yuli pattern by Kirsten Jelsa. I will try to put the name on the screen. It's made in the Rainbow Fade set from Jute of Stranded Dye Works. I bought this last summer during my exams in June, and then I searched for a dress pattern. I made the biggest size. Uh, the I did some calculations for gauge because it was knit with a light fingering weight, and this is just a normal fingering weight. And I think this is the FO I'm most proud of from 2021. Then I would like to show you my FOs I had from 2022, like from January onward. So FOs are finished objects for those of you who maybe don't know that. So this is the stack I have. Most of them are socks. Most of them are also not washed because I didn't have time this weekend to do this. So let's start. First off, this is the rainbow scrap socks I made for my sister. So as you can see, there are these just plain black normal sock yarn and then the rainbow scraps from my dress. Then next up I made another pair of socks. These are let me have a look, the Hong Kong socks by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat. I'll put these on blockers so you can see the pattern. Okay, so as you can see, you have this lacy eyelet pattern going up the sock. I knit all my socks toe up. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning. And I use the recipe from Nathan of Sockmatician, his toe up recipe. The yarn I use for that is Leo and Roxy. The main color, so this variegated color is Suns Out, Guns Out, and this hot pink is Hey Girl, and this was a special colorway from one of the kids of the grocery girls. My next pair of socks are my scrappy rainbow socks. To match my sister's, mine are made in just also a generic sock yarn, dark gray, and then the same striping pattern. So I did 3 stripes, also toe up. All my socks are also knit on 2.5 millimeter needles. And then the last pair of socks I finished are these ones. Let me put them on blockers so you can see them fully. These I call my thermo socks because I'm still in my period of exams here in Belgium, and one of my courses is thermodynamics, and while reading my summary just to try to familiarize myself with all the terms and stuff, I was just knitting. So these are the socks I made. They are pretty long. The striping pattern just goes up. Also the toe up, these were knit with 56 stitches, but I increased 6 extra stitches for the gusset to see if that fits me better. I'm still trying to find the perfect sock pattern for me with like a plumper fingering weight or not. These ones are also a colorway for the grocery girls. This was by the Cozy Knitter and their the Grocery Girls edition. Also love these a lot. So then the last FO I have is this one. That's the biggest one I worked on. I just finished it. Thursday, I think, last week. So now it's Monday. And that's my cowl. And this is the From Montreal to Paris by Dels, Max, De Knitter, and Amy of La Bien-Aimée. Let me show you, maybe you'll remember this. So I got their holiday mystery box, and so this was a mystery knit along. So you didn't know what the pattern was gonna be, and I opened up all my parcels, then scanned up all the yarn, and on the 1st of January I was ready to knit whatever it was. We just knew it was something for around your neck. This was the ornament that was with it. And then this was the bag that everything was in. I really love this print. I don't have the yarn that I have left with me because that's at home. But I can tell you all the yarn colors because I have my yarn diary here. So let's have a look. The biggest skein main color is like this, I don't know how, taupey, beige, white. It's a variegated one. That's called l'hiver québécoise, from Amy of La Bien-Aimée, and that's on her Twist Nouveau base. And then in this brioche section, so this was not my first time doing brioche, but it was a pretty big time. I really like it. We have a Felix mini. This blue one is called La Ville Souterrain. Then another Felix mini is the grey one, that's called Vincent Love His Neutrals. Then there are 2 Helix minis. This pinky one is called Belle Rose, and this yellow ochre one, I really love this color, is L'Heure Dorée. Then for Vincent's colors, there was also one big skein, and then 4 mini skeins. The big skein was a skein of Suri. That's baby Suri, alpaca, and mulberry silk. That's something that's really fluffy, so I really like it. That's the grey you see in this part of the color work, and then with all in the brioche section. And that one was called Nuit d'hiver à Paris. And let me search the last color work section with Vincent's colors. Then we have Yvonne's Cafe, this burgundy one. Then yes, this one, Christian's Tree. There are some places there are red specks, maybe you can see them. I really like this color as well. This one is a more variegated one, and that's called Amy's Dotted Race. And the last one is Gustav's Tower, is like this dark blue. So let me take you through the clues. The first clue was this one, so 1 by 1 color work. I have done that before, but this was really the first time for such a big one. Then the second clue was brioche. I think I've fallen in love with brioche now. The third clue was this corrugated ribbing. So it is like 1 by 1 color work, but it's ribbing. So the lighter color are knits, and the other colors are pearls. And then the last clue is more to like use up all of the leftovers. So this was really what it was, just again 1 by 1 color work, the same pattern as clue 1, with like a sequence of all your minis, and then in the middle you had to measure to make sure the section was big enough to wrap around yourself. And so I made sure that it was big enough with these minis. I had most of it left over of these ones. So let me show it to you. So you can wear it like this way. I really love it. And you can choose like a more rustic side, but I find it still soft, or the really soft side. You can just turn it around, and then you have this one, and you can wrap it around 3 times as well. It's really cold. Then you're all bundled up, and you can just put it over your ears. I really like it for biking to the university this way. So this was a really nice project to do while studying and making my exam. So when I took a half an hour break, or at night, or in the morning when I was knitting, I love doing this. And now there's some Suri alpaca in my mouth. Okay, so then my my whips, my work in progress, what I'm knitting on at this moment. First off, I casted on something new on Saturday because I had a very busy week and didn't have much knitting time. And then on Saturday I just took a day off, a lazy day, and I casted something on. This is the project bag it's in. It's the Gogi & Co. Fall Call bag from 2021. No, from 2020, excuse me. And I am knitting the Crochet by Fiber Tales. So this is really nice. This is like you could say a bottom up. So it's a big triangle. Let me find a picture for you. And here you can see. And it's just like it's garter, so everything is garter, but at the bottom there are like a couple of flowers or plants, however you want to call them. So I'm busy with that section now. You can see there are a couple of bubbles here and then like the leaves. And the thing is, you always decrease on one side, so it comes up in a triangle, so every row gets faster and faster. I would like to show you my stitch marker as well. As first, this one, this cute one. This is a like a shark or a whale or something. This I got in my advent calendar, but I'll tell you more about that later. And that's from the wool shed. And then I have this cute bear. Maybe, let me try to not catch the light. Maybe you recognize him. That's the same bear from the drawing from my cowl. We had also like 3 stitch markers in there. So what I do is every time Monday comes around, I move this up. So I will move this up, and then when I'm at the end of the week, I can see how much I knitted that week. And then I have another stitch marker that I move up every day to see how much I've done, because sometimes it can feel like you have done nothing, but you have done a lot. The yarn I'm using is Julia from Zeeman. Zeeman is just like a store here in Belgium, and that was pretty cheap yarn. I've used it, let me first show you. So it's 100 grams, 170 meters, so it's pretty thick. I think you could call that a bulky weight yarn, and it's 20% wool and 80% acrylic. I've used this yarn for a cardigan for myself, which I will show in a later podcast, and for a cardigan for my mom that I crocheted, but it was too heavy and she wasn't really her style, and I made it a long time ago. So a couple of weeks ago, I asked her if it was okay if I frogged the cardigan and used all the wool. So this bag is full of like balls with it, so you can see that it has been used before, but it's a good yarn, I would say. And yeah, I like better than, let me say it otherwise, better to just knit up something new after frogging it than just having the cardigan lay in the closet and never be used. My next whip is this. This is back with the logo from the grocery girls, like their spring logo. And I'm working on a pair of DK weight socks. You probably have seen, like, I like knitting socks. I do. It's one of the things that I find really easy to do while watching, while talking with people. I like knitting patterns, but also just some vanilla DK weight socks. So this is not the first time, but this is the first time I'm knitting DK weight socks with hand-dyed yarn. So this is To The Max Yarn Co. That's now rebranded to Frankie Gray Fibers. That's Jodie Brown and one of her kids. As you can see, this is a lovely purple yarn. This is called Purple City, and it's just a generic sock yarn. So 25% nylon and 75% superwash merino. Oh, let me show you as well. So when I started, I put this like fin tail or mermaid tail on it. This one comes also from my advent calendar from the wool shed. And then you can see the next one. This is the little sheep. From my cowl, from Montreal to Paris, Mystery Knit Along. And then my last work in progress is called Hearten by Kim Hargrave. Let me show you a picture, that would be easier. Here we go. So it's just gonna be a cabled jacket, like cropped. I think that would be something that really would fit me. I've already finished the back piece, so let me show you that. And then the two fronts, this is the right way around. So this will be the armhole, and then it will sit around my waist. I'm knitting this in whole super soft, so 100% wool non-superwash yarn, with 2 strands held double. At the moment I'm knitting the sleeves, but I chose to not knit them flat because I do not really like seaming, and the sleeves seemed like something that would be possible to just knit in the round. So I just took one stitch, I cast it on 1 stitch less, and to use it that way. At the moment I'm at 21 centimeters and I need to go to 40 before I start shaping the sleeve cap. I'm really interested in this because a sleeve cap, I think that's something that would fit me really well, but I've never made one. And then let me show you the color maybe a bit better. This is iced, is it called? So it's like a light blue, but you can see some of the natural color to it. It's a bit heathered, I would say. So I have this big cone, nothing is attached to it at the moment, because I wound off a couple of balls and I bought some balls extra to make sure I have enough. For this one, I'm making the second largest size. So the size I'm making is the XL size. I'm knitting this on 3.75 millimeter needles, and my gauge is a bit bigger, like I have I have less stitches per 10 centimeters. So when I need to cast on, it will be a bit bigger. Also, I didn't want to go down another needle size to get gauge, because that was really painful on my hand. So I'm hoping to get this pretty good finished. Let me also show you my stitch markers. So this is where I started Saturday. So most of Saturday I was knitting this, but then after like almost 2 repeats, my hand really hurt, and then I started to crochet on bigger needles to have something else to do. And then I just have this a little hedgehog stitch marker to show what I've done this morning. Also, all of my projects are knit on Chago red lace interchangeable needles. So that's the red cord you see on the tips. I find that really helpful. Okay, then I would like to show you some of my acquisitions. Normally I'm not such a big spender, but when I'm making exams and studying and all of that, I get a bit lonely and things like that, and one of the things I like doing is browsing Instagram, and then I come across sales and all of that, and so I buy things. My creativity really gets boosted because you don't want to study, you want to do all of the other things. So this is also the reason I'm starting this podcast. That was one of the things that I could like put my creative energy in, thinking about this podcast, what I wanted to say, what I wanted to show, without costing on all the things and knitting all the things. But I have bought a lot. I didn't know why, but normally now I don't think I have to show that much in later episodes because I have enough in stash to make a lot of things. First off, I want to show you this. This is our 4 balls of Fortissima. This is just a sock yarn, 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide. This is the color 2056. I have 3 of those balls and I have 1 like dark blue, and this is color 2040, and my plan is to make the tan line joggers. Let me just make sure I'll say this right. Yes, the tan line joggers by Brianna Lupino. I will try to put a picture here. Let's hope that works. I would like to just like make the cuffs and the waistband in this dark color and the rest in this gray. Then my next acquisition was a Hoagie & Co. Vira bag. They had a second sale on the warehouse sale, so there was like something wrong and I got 20% off. I also will try to put a picture here. It's like the bag is pretty big, so it's really handy for me. Yeah, and I love bags. That's something you will get to see as well. Then the next acquisition is I've bought this small scale. So it's just like really small. It can weigh up to 200 grams because I'm planning to make some scrappy projects, but I'm really interested in how much grams I use, how much meters, and I've tried to weigh it, but sometimes like when I put it just on my scale at home, it doesn't even register it because it's less than 1 gram, but even if it's like 0.8 grams, that's also more than 0, but it doesn't register, so I think this would be handy for that. I'm a bit nerdy like that. Then the next thing, I ordered some things from Holzgarden. So as you've seen, and you will see later on, I really like knitting with Holzgarden. I've already got the shade cards for the Super Soft and their Coast, but I got the rest of the bunch, so let's make sure I don't say anything wrong here. I got the hose cards for the Titicaca, that's just 100% alpaca. For their Noble, that's Geelong wool and cashmere, and for their tights, that's wool silk. I also got their shade cards for their Cielo, and I also got 6 balls of Cielo in the Elegance Black colorway, and this is the colorway. I don't have the balls with me because I didn't have place in my suitcase to take them, but I could take the swatch, and this is like so soft. This is let me get the tag. This is 42% alpaca, 42% fine merino wool, and 16% nylon. So this is this kind of blown yarn. So you have a tube and then the fibers are blown into it, which makes this really soft. I really like it. And as you can see, I swatched this up this weekend. I probably use the biggest one here on a 9mm because I want to make the Ursa by Jacqueline Cieslak. So this is the sweater. It's just a top-down raglan with some half brioche detailings, and you have like this V at the center, and I think that will be very flattering on me, and I like this color a lot. This will go with a lot of my dresses, and I think that would be nice. One of the other things I've bought is het heerlijk handwerk half uurtje cursus. For those of you who don't speak Dutch, that means like the happy half an hour crafting, like most of all for knitting, crochet, or embroidery. That's like what's called handwerk here in Belgium and in the Netherlands. Like this is the cursus. This is done by Sarah from It's a Sarah. She's from the Netherlands. She's a Dutch podcaster as well, and this is something she started. You can maybe see it like the 30 minutes of knitting from Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, and she will give us some tips and tricks to really make this our own, how to use it, how to make sure that if you knit just for half an hour, you don't go over it, and I think that would be something that's really helpful for me. And this starts today, so later today I will make sure to tune into the lesson. And then I want to talk to you a bit about my knitting plans, because you can see most of the time I'm making socks. One of the socks I want to make are the Tokyo socks, also by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat. So I got her Around the World in 8 Socks bundle or club, and this one, I think I will keep repeating myself, will be in this yarn. This yarn is from Yarning, the love song classic sock base, so also a 75-25 merino nylon blend. So it's like this pink with some variegated in it like thing, and then this like leaning to brown but dark purple for toes, heels, and cuffs. And this is also one of the Grocery Girls editions. So that's one of the socks I want to start. I'll probably start some socks as well, some just plain vanilla toe-up socks, but also like to have one thing that's like more patterned. So I'll try to put a photo of the Tokyo socks in here. I already talked to you about the Ursa sweater I would like to start. In a couple of days I'm done with my exams, and then I'm a week off, and I think this would be like the perfect project to just go for it in a week, because it's a big gauge, big needles, lovely yarn, and because it's cropped I think this would be really nice. And then two other things I would like to make is the Susu by Nora Gone. Let me try to show you a picture. So this is it, and then at the front, let me not show you the pattern. That's not so good to see, but it's, you have the same cabling, but you have like increases and decreases here. I'm not pretty sure how it's made yet. I haven't read through the pattern, but it makes like this shape that I would think would also be beautiful like on high-waisted skirts, pants, or over dresses. And I've already swatched for that. That's one of the things I really like to do when I am ending one of my projects. I'm thinking about the next projects I want to make. I swatch some things up, I'll try it again. So when I'm done with something, I can just start the next thing. So I've made this in this, I think it's like double moss stitch. I really like this. This is one strand of Holst Garden super soft in the, let's see which color it was, silver gray. And then it was one other strand that's more like shiny. I can't really tell you what the content is of that. It was like some mill ends, but when I started I will show you the coin I got it on, and I'll tell you more about it later. Another pattern I really wanted to start is the ship shape by Heidi Kirmaier. So this is the one, and I would love to make this also in Holst Garden super soft. Here it's gonna be held double in I think, yes, flannel gray, and the red is Venetian. And this is one I would also like to start because it's like a decay weight sweater. I would think that would go fast. Definitely after I've knit a fingering weight dress, I think everything else that's not fingering weight and that's not a dress will go much faster. Okay, let me just clean up a bit here. Then I can get to the next things I want to talk about. One of the things I find really interesting is how people started knitting and do that. I've seen a lot of podcasts talking about starting knitting during the pandemic and all of that, but I've been knitting pretty much my whole life, I would say, and I would like to tell you about my knitting story. So I would start from the beginning, when I was really little, show you a couple of the things I've made, maybe a picture if I don't have it anymore, and then gradually go on, so you can see like I've done my first colorwork, my first brioche. I would like to do more like yoked colorwork sweaters, all of those things, and I think this would be the best way to document it. So to start, I first learned to crochet on my fingers, just like chaining one stitch ahead, like normally how you use a crochet needle. Just use it on your finger, and I made bracelets and things like that. Then once I had a long thread, I tried it again to make it thicker. Then my grandma gave me this variegated yarn, so it changed colors, and I love that. And then when we went there on Wednesday afternoon, she was knitting or doing some cross stitches, and I'm like, I want to learn that as well. And then she was like, you do crochet on your finger, you can do that with a hook. So I first learned to chain with a hook, and then after I've learned to chain, I learned to just make some half double crochets and stuff like that. And also after you've crocheted and then you see people knitting, I'm like, why are they knitting with two needles? And then I learned that as well. So I made this like this swatch to just learn knit and purl stitches, and then it really went this way. And my grandma was looking at me, I don't know how you do it, but you are decreasing and increasing on different parts, but we don't know where, what up, and why. There are also stitches that are dropped, all of that. That's really how it started. Then I made my first bag. It was a pink cotton from Katja. I will try to put a picture here as well because it's at home. I didn't take it with me. I just got a book from somebody, a hook, and then here's the wool to make something. Just go for it. The next thing I got was this bulky variegated wool, and I've made my first hat. It is seamed at the inside, so I've knit it flat, and then with the rest of it I made a pom-pom. I really like it. Let me put it on. So the thing is, the pom-pom was really big in the beginning, but was really heavy, and it fits on my head. Maybe it's a bit big, but I still like it. But with a big pom-pom, it was really slouching and falling off. So I've really trimmed the pom-pom back a lot. I don't wear it that often anymore, but still love it. So yeah, I have most of the things I've made myself. Then I've made like a small baby hat for my cousin that was born. So now around the time, maybe I should have said this, the time I'm say like I was maybe 6 years old when I learned crocheting and knitting. And then I think the first hat is when I was 10. And then when I was 10, my first cousin was born. No, my second cousin, but the first boy. And I made this little crochet hat. It was too small for him, but it's still a nice hat. So let me put a picture in here. This was crochet with like 2 threads together that were on big cones. But I will talk about that yarn later. I've used it also on a later project that I will show you, and then you maybe can see what I mean. Then the next thing, say like when I was 12 years old, I got a kit from my grandma, and it had this book in it that's called Beestjeshaken, just like crocheting animals. And the fish you see here at the front is the first thing I've really ever made from a pattern. This is it. I think I've started this like 5 or 7 times maybe, because it was really hard to read a pattern, to learn from it. Also, I've asked my grandma to sew on the eyes, because that's something when you're 12 years old you're not thinking about that. But it was this kit, and you had the yarn with it and the hook, and then the book to make it. And that's what really started me with like crochet amigurumi. I really like this, and definitely the thing is, I had a problem with knitting because with 2 needles under in your armpits, you could say, and then like my shoulders go up and my neck gets tensed and everything like that, and then I get neck pains and I am moving this way and hurting people with my knitting needles. That was something that would happen sometimes. That was not that good, so crochet was the way to go. Oh, sorry, I just got a notification. Then the next thing I made was this fox, as you can see. So I got another crochet kit. This is called De Leukste Bosdierenhaken, so like the nicest forest animals. And then you can see this is the fox. So again, you just had the wool, the hook, the stuffing, the eyes, everything on it. And then I've made this fox. As you can see, there's an end poking out here, but I don't want to trim it, because this is the first thing I've really sewn together myself, because the fish is almost everything on itself, and then my grandma helped. I've also done some embroidery with like for his mouth and nose, but I'm really proud of him. And he and his best friend, the fish, are staying with me. They are put on one of my in my room at home. Let me say it like that. So at that moment, I'm 12 years old. I'm ready. I'm starting high school. Like here in Belgium, high school is 6 years, so I'm ready for high school. I'm done with being a kid, you could say, and that's when really the whole started the ball started rolling, I've made a big list of all the other things I've made, and I would like to show you them on the next time. So I hope you've really liked seeing me, let me talk. If I talk too fast, I'm sorry. I'm really happy, excited about this all. And maybe on YouTube you can slow it down. Uh, if you don't like to know more about me or just about my knitting, I would love if you click the red subscribe button or leave me a comment, and then you can see when I upload the next podcast. I hope to do it every 2 weeks, so maybe until the next time. And if you would like to know a bit more about me, then here we go. So I'm 19 years old. I'll be 20 in like 2 months. I'm a second year university student. I'm trying to get my bachelor's and hopefully after that my master's in bioengineering. It's been a bit hard the first year because of the, everybody knows, the global pandemic and stuff. Like I ended my last year of high school with it, my 18th birthday, everything like that, and I started um, in a new city. So I live on my own, like in a room. I have my own room, and then we share a bathroom and a kitchen with a couple of people, and that was hard because you still had to follow the rules about who you can see, who could come over, and all of that. But it worked out. My first semester was really hard because everything was almost online, and then when we could go to the classroom itself, you had to social distance, wear mask, and all of that. Now I'm used to it, so it goes a lot better. I have one more exam to go for university. That's this Friday, so this is just a break for me, and then on Friday I will make my last exam, and we will see. Hopefully, I can tell you next time I did well on all of them, because the first time I only passed 2 of the 5, so I had 3 exams I needed to retake in the summer. That I did, but I have now 2 classes I'm retaking from last year, so I hope I will pass this year. I hope I can be proud and tell you that, but we will see when we get to that. And also, the week after my exams is just uh, a week off for me, so I will be at home mostly knitting, trying to see some family, maybe some friends, just relaxing. But I also have my exam for my driver's license. That's one of the things I did as well in the summer, but it didn't go that well. But now we are 6 months later. I've been driving a lot with my dad, so let's hope I will get my driver's license, because that would be really handy for me to get to some places, or later if you want to do something. And also, if I don't pass it, I have to take the second time I have to take some lessons, but we will get to that when we get there, and hopefully I can tell you that as well the next time. Yeah, that's about me and my school. At the moment, I am watching Cheer, the second season of the Netflix documentary on the cheerleading team in the United States. I love watching podcasts as well. Maybe some I would like to recommend you if you like that. I really like the Creabea. She is Rebecca from Scotland. She's a pretty new one. I've had a couple of knit nights with her as well, so that's nice. And then maybe a more seasoned podcaster is Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast. Um, she is somebody I would call a friend. I'm one of her patrons, so every month there is a Zoom knit night as well, and I try to attend. Most of the times when it's at night by them, it's like in the middle of the night here, like 1 to 2 a.m. But if I don't need to be up early the next day, I'll try to make it to talk with people, and that's really why I started my podcast, because I love talking about yarn, knitting, wool, crochet, everything. But my family doesn't really care about that. They like to listen and are in awe of what I make, but like the techniques and all the wool and that are not their thing. My grandma loves talking with me, but sometimes it's hard for me to make time to go see her. So Oma, if you're watching, I would I will try to make it to you, to show you everything in person. So this was really what I thought to do, um, to tell you all about it. Something else, I really also love reading. I'm a big reader. My family are big readers as well. I've had a hard time with reading, but now I'm just like addicted to it, you could say. I like reading romance novels. Of course, that's one of the things I love most, but also like sci-fi and fantasy. I like that as well. Not the really slow ones that take a long time. Now I'm getting more to appreciate it more, but just like some YA fantasy or sci-fi, I really like that. So maybe later I could share with you what I'm reading as well. I'm also pretty big into music. Like I'm always listening to music uh, while I'm studying, if I'm not watching podcasts, or maybe if I'm doing something hard, a hard technique, I like to listen to music. I don't really like silence, because I just get distracted, and when I can focus on the music, I can do something else like study and all. So at this moment, I'm pretty big into Pink, the singer from America. I really like her aesthetic, her attitude, her everything. I've seen her live once, 3 years ago. We went to a festival where she was, so I made sure I was on one of the first rows, and she came out with the documentary. It was called All I Know So Far, and I've watched it now this weekend for the second time with my mom as well, and I really love it. I just love everything about her and almost all her music. Some of the older songs I'm getting to know now. Some other things I really like as well is metal. This is maybe, if you know me, this won't come as a surprise, but maybe if you see me, you would think, you wouldn't think about that, but my parents are pretty big into metal and rock, so I've heard that songs all my life. And one of my favorite bands is Avenged Sevenfold, Linkin Park. I really like a lot, and then there are also a couple of others that I like some songs about it, or that I like just know one song, but I really love that song. So yeah, that's that. I think that's all I have to share now. I hope to come back to you in 2 weeks. I hope the editing process of it goes well as well. I'm sorry if I forgot something or said something wrong. I will try to put in pictures and maybe a couple of lines of text to help you. And again, if you would like to see a next episode of this, I would love it for it if you subscribed, so you would see the next episode. And if there is anything you want to talk to me about, to tell me, maybe what were you knitting on while you are watching this, or do you have any future knitting plans like me? Maybe you would love to see all the swatches I've made in the last year to make all of the things. I have most of the things in stash, but yeah, then there come new things into it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, and I will try to link everything I talked about it below. Okay, thank you. Bye.